Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to this very special edition of Cherokee Business Radio. It is our inaugural episode of our new House to Home series. And today's episode is brought to you in part by our local small business initiative, the Business RadioX Main Street Warriors, defending capitalism, promoting small business, and supporting our local community. For more information, go to mainstreetwarriors.org. And a special note of thanks to our title sponsor for the Cherokee chapter of Main Street Warriors, Diesel David Inc. Please go check them out at dieseldavid.com. You guys are in for a real treat. Please join me in welcoming back to the Business RadioX microphone with Simplicity Home Staging and Design, Miss Mary Wynn King. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I am great. I'm so happy to be here and do this for the second time around and have some guests with us and just make the most of it.
Well, it is such a delight to have you back in the studio. We had so much fun last time. I learned a ton. For the 2.5 people in Cherokee County that don't know Mary Wynn King, let's give them a little bit of an overview, a primer about your business and what you're really out there trying to do for folks.
Sure. So I am the owner of Simplicity Home Staging and Design, and we actually just celebrated 3 years last week.
Yes!
So that is exciting news. And we specialize in helping clients with interior design and home staging. And on the interior design side, typically I would help with residential, but I just got my first commercial client. So working on that as well and just growing and learning as we go.
It sounds like a great deal of fun. It sounds like a marvelous way and a platform to be able to express your creativity and live into that. And I've gotten to know you a little bit, so I know that that's important to you. Well, at this point in your career, you're kind of over that initial hump. You're really beginning to get some traction. What are you finding the most rewarding? What do you like most about the work?
Honestly, just listening to my clients, whether it's home staging or interior design, and tailoring what needs to happen to their specific needs and really being able to help them with that. Listening to them at first and making sure that I understand what the task at hand is that they need accomplished is really my main goal of how to serve them the best.
And you are a good listener. I've watched you in conversations. I participated in conversations. And when it's time for you to talk, you talk. But, sometimes people are just waiting. They're not listening. But Mary Wynn, right? My other guests that we're going to introduce here in a moment are nodding their head. But you're genuinely listening, and I can sense you doing that, when you're out in the field.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It definitely helps me hone in on what is important and loving on our community that way.
Yeah. Well, who'd you bring with you today and why?
Oh, okay. So I am so excited to have on the show as our special guest, Burkhalter Realty Group based out of Woodstock, Georgia. We have Brenna and Josh. Hi.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. They are an awesome married couple that we met about 2 years ago. That we'll go into that in just a minute, but they are a great local real estate team with the Keller Williams program here, and we would love to hear about how y'all operate in our community and just hear more about your specialties and your background. So would love to start with that, if that's okay, Stone.
Works for me. I got 1,000 questions. I know we're not going to get to them all, but I think that's a great place to start.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, so first off, I kind of would love to express to our listeners how Brenna and I met. So Brenna, go ahead with that.
Okay. Mary Wynn and I met on social media, actually. I came across an awesome Instagram account that had some wonderful interior design tips and tricks. And I looked into who the owner of that account was. It turned out it was a girl from Canton. And I reached out to ask about getting coffee. And we met at a local coffee shop. And all of a sudden it was 3 hours later. And we had become fast friends. And future business to come out of that, which was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt an immediate connection. We are similar in age. We both had children, smaller children, but also working hard to make our businesses work and really get ourselves out there.
Yeah, I remember when she came home from that meeting and she was like, I just met this awesome lady and she's really cool. And we sat there and I was like, why did it take so long? And I was like, it's supposed to be an hour. And cause we have to live by a calendar. She's like, well, before you know it, it was 3 hours. So that's awesome.
So that was so fun. And then we were able to kind of progress our friendship through y'all needing some interior design needs and help with like your living room and your home office and some kitchen ideas. Yes. So that was really fun when they were able to bring me in and just get some things that were practical for their family, but also some size furniture that was more proportionate for like their space. And also now that I think your home office is more functional, right?
Yes.
Extremely.
Yeah, we normally would work in 2 different parts of the house, whether it was an upstairs bedroom that we had or a dining room, and now we have a functional desk that allows us to collaborate together in a space where we don't feel super cramped anymore. So it was a huge help.
And as realtors, we see different homes every single day, and it's so easy to take pieces of different people's homes and say, I like this, but then making it cohesive is hard to do in your own home. So Mary Wynn really helped pull the whole thing together and make it a space that would be functional and pretty.
Yeah.
So did you find that you were that self-aware right out of the box and you knew you needed and wanted help, or did you find it a little bit intimidating, either one of you, to have this professional come in there?
Probably a little bit of both, because I knew what kind of vibe or look we were going for, but it's hard to do that, I think, in your own home sometimes, especially when you see so many other homes. So it wasn't hard to reach out to her and ask. It was just something I refer to other people all the time, and you don't really think you're going to need it in your own home in this profession, I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of felt the same way. It wasn't that it was a little different to have somebody, because we see so many homes, like Brenna had mentioned, that we kind of know what we like, but we hadn't really applied it as much in our home yet.
I think a lot of people go through that, actually. Yeah, because it takes some time.
Yeah.
But what was great in y'all's instance, which I love doing, is they had some inspirational pieces that they did want to incorporate. Like they had a rug for their home office with some colors that we could work off of and things like that. So that kind of at least gave me the style that you were going for and some colors to play with and just to kind of pull it all together.
Well, one of the reasons that this is such a germane conversation right now is we're getting a new island.
Okay.
Which, of course, means we're getting new countertops behind it, and that's which I'm sure translates to recovering or buying a new couch and all that stuff. So this is a very timely conversation around my house. And my wife, too, is very creative, and she's got a good eye, I think, for that kind of thing. And but I think she's self-aware enough that maybe it makes sense to get a little help, just get a different take on it. So, all right. So the very first really work with these two was in their own home.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that went so well that, a little bit later down the road, I kind of was like, okay, Brenna, I really want to help you homestage. I want you to see the difference that it can make. And I said, just try it just one time with me. So we did. And, why don't y'all elaborate on that scenario?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Go ahead.
So, we had a client who, a family friend of ours that we had known for years and years. They were moving back to actually my hometown in Middle Georgia. And, she moved from there to here and empty nester, downsized with, all the stuff she had accumulated at the house for 30 years. She's a very neat, tidy, clean lady. She just had a lot of stuff for a townhome. And
small space, for sure.
And smaller space. So we had Mary Wynn come in, and I mean, it was night and day how much more of a flow there was, and you could immediately just see yourself in the space, which is exactly what we're shooting for. When people walk in, we want them to be like, oh, I can do anything I want in here, or leave it just like this, and it would be fantastic. So, I mean, It was amazing what she was able to do on the property.
And in turn, when it comes to selling it, seeing a space and being able to envision your own things, your own family in that space, because it's been decluttered, minimal decorations. People can really envision themselves or their families there. It makes such a difference. And because of that, we had multiple offers, and our seller was able to choose the offer that worked best for her and her timeline. And that was fantastic. And it was just the best example possible of no matter what price point or size home you're working with, she can make a difference. And ideally, that's going to sell for more money and faster.
Well, how's that for an endorsement?
Yeah, no, I mean, we were laughing about this earlier is recently kind of my new slogan is going to be, I want it to be a merry win-win-win, like a win for the client, a win for everybody involved.
That's perfect. Well, I mean, we can attest to it. She came through our house, and we do like to try out a lot of our vendors before we refer them out to our clients, because we want to make sure that we vet
your
people.
Reputation.
Exactly.
Right,
So if
exactly.
we refer someone, it's, like you said, our reputation on the line, and we knew after she came through and helped us out that it was probably going to be okay. And then she, knocked our socks off with the way that everything went with that deal. So, it was perfect.
Yeah, I heard you really love the curtains.
Oh yeah. I had my doubts about some things she suggested in our home, and now I love,
They're some of his favorite pieces.
Yeah, it is. So it's, just trust her.
Well, I can tell you, like, curtains would never even occur to me. Yeah, and I would probably love them, once they were in. And if you saw my side porch, we were talking about hunting a little while ago. Maybe it was before we came on the air. But, I've got a deer head out on the side porch. So you could probably do some stuff with the side porch. And now that I've been to Spain and back, I want to have like a Spanish flavor.
Oh, cool.
Out there.
Yeah.
So I got ideas that are all.
I think Mary Wynn needs to come to your house.
I think Mary Wynn, don't I?
Yeah, exactly.
So has it gotten to the point where this is sort of part of the Burkhalter methodology? When you're listing a home, you're going to want to bring a stage. Is that kind of where you're at?
Fabulous question. Yes, it is actually. And that's a newer thing that we've been doing. We have added staging to our listing package. So when we go in to talk with sellers, there are some vital pieces that we offer them that we cover the cost of that really set their house apart. We're paying for those professional photos, and we're paying for our stager to come in.
You're absorbing the Mary Wynn services. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We're paying for our stager to come in and walk through the home and give them a very detailed to-do list of what to do to get their house ready to sell. So that's our goal is to get them ready to sell, get them to sell for the most money possible in the least amount of time as possible, and make it as seamless and smooth and stress-free as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
And she can really help with that.
We've talked about this. So, like, sometimes timeline of me coming in can be different depending on each client and when they're going to do photos and list it. Mm-hmm. So the different varieties, for example, on my website, I offer occupied and vacant staging. But within that, Brenna came to me and said, well, would you by chance even be okay if we did if you did a walkthrough and make a list for those clients? Because sometimes it could be that I come 2 weeks before, the listing, and then they have time to do those on their own. Or I can do hands-on staging. Mm-hmm. So I like a combination of both, but it really just depends. That's whenever it's listening to what their needs are and what, Brenna and Josh's needs are for their timeline of what I can accomplish in different ways of making that happen.
Okay, let's talk about me some more. It's my show. No, it occurs to me that, like Holly and I, we're thrilled to death with our home. We are remodeling some stuff, upgrading some stuff. But it occurs to me, even when we get it exactly like we want it, it could be perfectly appointed for Stone and Holly for this stage of our lives. Mm-hmm. And if we chose to put it on the market, it needs to be set up, staged, is that the right word?
Correct.
A little differently to maximize the chances of it getting the best offer. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Yes, very.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I want to back up. How in the world did you two get in this business?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got into the business a little bit before Josh. We actually bought our home in Woodstock in 2015. We got married in 14, bought our house in 15. I got my real estate license in 2016. We had
just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
We like to do
Then
big
we took
things.
17 off and had our first kid in 18, so we had a little gap here there.
Got to be something big every year, right? But we had a fantastic experience buying our house. It was very smooth. It was fairly stress-free. There weren't really speed bumps along the way. And we enjoyed that experience, and obviously it got us to a place that we love and into a home that we love. So we wanted to be able to give other people that same experience. And so I got my real estate license and jumped in head first, and have loved it ever since. And 3 years after that, Josh joined me in the business too. And now we're a husband-wife realtor team, which has been awesome.
Yeah, I started my post-college career in inside sales. I was working in the telecom industry, mainly a little bit of time in the finance industry, but got started right after our son was born. I kind of ripped the Band-Aid and let's do it, joined the team. Got licensed in 2019 and actually had my first closing the next day, which was pretty cool.
Whoa, that is so awesome.
You are a rock star.
So it was thanks to my
because
wonderful
of the
wife.
the Burkhalter training methodology.
Yes. She guided me through the process, and we were able to get it done, which was awesome. So
the best boss ever.
Yeah, she is. That's what I tell everyone. They're like, "How do y'all work together?" I'm like, "She's the best boss I've ever had." So.
That's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
So you said it. I'm going to take your word for it at face value that it's been awesome working together.
Awesome.
And I'm trying to envision Holly and I in the same business. She has a real job. She works at IBM. I do this. And she's just so incredibly supportive, and I try to be supportive of her. But there's got to be some additional dynamics when you're working with your spouse. A, what's that like in general? But B, is do you kind of I don't know, divide and conquer may not be the right label, but you each kind of have your own roles, your own strengths. And
we do.
Talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, and we do a lot of dividing and conquering, and we love being together, being around each other. So I think that helps a lot. We have always been, we've been together now for 16 years. So but we do kind of split things up, but really it just depends on the client's need and how one of us meshes with a certain person. If we feel like this person should take the lead with this type versus another, that is kind of how we do it. We don't have set roles as far as me handling the list side of things and her specifically working with all of our buyers. It's really just who we mesh with best.
It's such a relationship-based business. It's so important to, even if we are tag teaming and helping that client out, both of us, somebody does most likely take the lead on who meshes best with that person so that we can really be a good fit for their personality and their needs.
And one thing that I've complimented them on that I just love about their, togetherness and the way that their personalities work, though, is also their background of, like, Josh is more from the country, and then Brenna's a little bit more from the suburbs. So, but and my personality is both. And so I feel like I relate to them at different times on different levels in so many good ways, so I feel like that's a great thing that they offer their clients. So they're very relatable that way, that they have the background of both.
Well, there's the relationship aspect with it, which it makes perfect sense to me, but the level of trust that you must have to cultivate, because these are huge moments in a person's life, right?
And we do not take that lightly at all.
It can be stressful and emotional, and we embrace the challenge, but we also make sure that we educate people along the process to take out as much stress and emotion as possible, because the logic needs to drive the decisions when we're talking about massive amounts of money that, especially with the people that we like to work with, like first-time home buyers, we make sure that we hold their hand through the process so there's no speed bumps or hiccups, and they understand that the whole process is going to be smooth.
And they know what they're signing throughout the process.
Good point.
That would be important.
Really, some people just sign their name, and we try to make sure that they really, truly understand it. It's a big purchase, a lot of money.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
And it's a big deal to purchase a home at any stage, whether it's your 15th investment property or your first home. It is a monumental, life-changing moment that is, it's when my mom was able to purchase the home that I grew up in when I was 10 years old, it was structure for my brother and I that we previously didn't have. So that's huge. And that's something that I lean on with first time home buyers, that, you're setting them up for a way to generate wealth for their family for
generations.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And I was hoping that they could share with their listeners, like, a little bit, even like what they specialize in. I know they mentioned the first time home buyers, but just can y'all elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. like Josh mentioned, we do love working with first-time home buyers. Since we were in that boat, and that's kind of how I got into this business, we love the chance to educate other people, really help them find the home that's going to be the right fit for their current setup. And, ideally be their realtor for life, when they're moving on up. And we try to, when people ask us, who's a great referral for you? We try to think of those people in those big life moments. So we love the first time home buyers. We love the first time sellers too, because we've worked with a lot of our friends buying their first home, but then, when they go to sell their first home, that's a whole nother experience. You're on the opposite side of that and you haven't been there before. So definitely.
The market's a lot different.
Yes.
I mean, unless you buy and sell within a 2-year period, it's going to be substantially different from when you worked with your first client 7 years ago to selling now.
Right.
So there's a lot that can change, as we know, overnight. A couple years ago, a lot changed. So
if you walk through them on that first time experience, you're going to be able to relate back to that so that they can understand better when they go to sell it, which I love. Mm-hmm.
And then we have found, over the past year and a half or so, we've had a lot of opportunities to work with folks in those end of life stages, where they're going through the probate process and selling a home that was in the family or belonged to a deceased family member that they're now responsible for selling that property. So we've learned a lot through those experiences, and it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, it's a different education process because a lot of the probate and estate stuff has to be taken care of prior, and some people don't know that, some people do. We've kind of had people that were educated along the whole spectrum. It's also a great way to give people closure that they need for whether it was their,
that makes sense,
someone that was really close to them, mom, dad, or it could be a distant relative that they just happened to acquire a property when they passed away. So it's challenging, but it's also very rewarding because you're able to give them that closure. And a lot of the time that is the last piece, is the house is the last thing to really go.
And you can tell y'all's heart's in it. That's one reason that I love you two so much, is because your care for your clients shines through like every transaction and every, reason for doing certain things. And that's why I love working with them.
We appreciate that. We want people to feel that.
Yeah.
For sure.
So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So paint a day in the life of the Burkhalter, like on a Thursday, and I'm getting the sense that no Thursday is the same, probably.
That's why we love this. It's never the same.
What are some things that might happen on any given Thursday?
On Thursdays, we usually have listings go live.
Yes. Normally we have stuff hit the market on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
This past
I did not know that. That was not scripted. It's not in my show notes.
No, but we appreciate that.
We last Thursday was when I was out of town, was pretty busy for Brenna. She got a call from somebody that wanted to see a house, and things changed immediately. So
now they are under contract on said house.
Yeah, so we had to pivot and make a quick move, and so it can be anything from a listing going live to maybe having to show someone that calls on a sign call, hey, I'd like to check out this property, to going to show a buyer a new property, as long as we're dropping our son at school by 8:30 and picking him up by 6. I think
there's that divide and conquer thing coming back around.
So we do a lot of dividing and conquering.
That's really, like Brenna said, what we enjoy about it is that it's different, and no two clients are the same. Yeah. Every deal is different. Every day is different. So we, it keeps us on our toes for sure.
Yes.
Well, it seems like there's so many moving parts. I feel like just the paperwork alone, if I had that much paperwork in my business, I would starve, right? I'm just not the right.
I'm a control freak. It's hard for me to let go of things. However, I will say delegating some of those things to an assistant has been the best decision we have ever made.
Yeah.
We have a contract to close assistant that's amazing and supports us from when buyers or sellers go under contract until the closing period to help keep all the paperwork in check.
Yep. It's just an extra level of accountability with dates and, the whole process. It makes it smoother for everyone. Yeah. And then we also have an assistant that helps us with a lot of our social media and a lot of our marketing that we do.
Because that is so key this day and age, right? You have to have a social media presence, right? I'm saying this,
that's
and
how
I'm
we
like
met.
Right,
exactly.
I know.
It's a testament here. That's
yeah.
So it's a challenge, but we have slowly started to leverage some things out, and we found that it allows us to do what we're good at. And like when we bring Mary Wynn into the picture on a listing, we are able to focus on the, negotiation and the marketing side of things, and she can handle the staging and the prep side of things. So it allows us to do what we do best and her to do what she does best. So it's a win-win all around.
So there's a pro tip, not only for other realtors, just other entrepreneurs and business owners in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get that best in class help and stay in your lane, do what you do.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's a good reminder. Your arena strikes me. It seems like it would be incredibly crowded, competitive. I feel like there are a lot of realty professionals out there. So I am curious how the whole sales and marketing thing works, how you get the new business, or even just the new conversations that might lead to new business. How do you,
I will say first, it's community over competition. Always. We love where we live. There's a ton of realtors in this area, and there's enough business for all of us. It is all about the relationships, and even if one person is looking for a house and they're choosing between several different realtors, a couple of those realtors may not be a good fit for that person, personality wise, goal wise. So while there are a lot of us, who you're working with is so important, and that's going to be different across the board, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and like Brenna mentioned, it is a pretty crowded space. I mean, just with our brokerage alone, we have, I think, around 400 agents that work out of our Keller Williams Market Center in Woodstock. That's just Keller Williams agents. Now, that's not to say that they all work just in this area. We work all over the place. Then there's other, I mean, you've got many, many other brokerages, but like she had mentioned, there's plenty of business to go around. We have to make sure that it's a win-win for everybody on every side of things, and we're not the best fit for some people, and we're okay with that. I mean, I would rather recognize that up front than have problems in the transaction because we didn't mesh personality-wise and our goals weren't aligned. So,
well, I love that ethos. I love that mindset of community over competition, and you described it about the realty world, but my experience here in Cherokee County in general, and particularly here, like in Woodstock, Holly Springs, Ball Ground, Canton, my experience has been such a supportive business community.
Yes.
People will rally around you if you're willing to share with them what you need and want, and if you're willing to serve first, serve early, serve often as well. Has that been your experience community-wide?
Absolutely.
yes. Yeah, 100%.
I got Mary Wynn to come to Woodstock Business Club with me.
Yeah.
It's been a great source of new friendships, business, vendors that we need on our vendor list that have been very helpful to our clients. I mean, it's been a wonderful place of community, and Mary Wynn's met several other clients, and
it's been great, and we learn so much. They have some great speakers there that we can learn from and grow from, and learn from each other, and just share what we do and support each other. So that's been awesome, and it's something that we can, that it's pretty consistent. It's every Thursday at 8:30, here, and so we can plan on it. But yeah, it's nice to have those outlets to be able to really go and share success stories, and also things that we can, really add on to our skill level and all of that. So yeah, Brenna and I love to meet up there.
So do I. And I enjoy meeting people after like the big meeting, hanging out under the elm tree, grab a cup of coffee and chat. But also, I'm also a consumer. So I have, professional service needs as a business, but also, the home services people are Alpha and Omega, Lori Kennedy, that's where I take my car to get it done.
We've taken our there too.
Okay, so I'm going to send Lori an invoice. But just anything you might need. If I were in search of a mortgage, one of the first people I would at least talk to is Darren Hunter, right? If I were going to organize my next Spain trip, I'm going to talk to Dawn. And I feel like it's someone that I know and trust. And I suspect many of them, if they felt like they were going to use this platform to build relationships for their business, whether they ended up doing it with me or not, I think they would check in with me first. And I think they would know, and it's true, I would try to help them whether they were going to do it with me or not.
Right.
And I've collaborated with other people in the media, but this community is so supportive. And Woodstock Business Club in particular has just been a wealth of friends. I'll call them family. That's been my experience too.
Yeah.
Every Thursday when she comes back, she's like
energized,
ready to roll. I mean, and I'm like, wow, okay, I'm getting some of this vibe because she's just
good energy.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
You know?
Yeah.
Being with people in the community that you know are happy to help.
Yeah. So outside the scope of your work, what passions, if any, do you pursue? I shared with you as we were coming on air that I like to hunt and fish and travel.
Well,
That's my thing. What are some things that you nerd out about or really dive into outside the scope of the realty?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. I just got back from Colorado Sunday. We did 750-mile road trip across the state and checked out like 6 national or state parks and national parks.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, and I enjoy anything outdoors. We like to hike a lot together. I hunt, fish. I try to do that as much as I can. The kids are priority number one now.
Sure.
So that's taking a back seat, but I'm not complaining. I love spending time with the fam. But, yeah, I do. Like I said, pretty much anything outdoors. I love being outside. I grew up on 100 acres. So anytime I can get out of the suburbs, I need to, kind of get some good fresh air. It's nice.
But just being in the woods, whether you harvest anything or not, just being in the woods, my experience, I mean, it's just a marvelous way to decompress and appreciate.
I think everybody could use a couple hours.
He needs to send me out there sometimes. So I'll just be still and be quiet.
Yeah.
Well, and how about you?
We do love hiking.
Okay.
And getting out there with the kids too, just having them be out in the woods as much as possible too. But I really enjoy swimming. That's my me time where I can just be in my head and swim laps. And I did that all growing up and through college. So that the pool is my happy place. Any kind of water really is my happy place.
Yeah.
We do love to travel. So I'm glad he got to take this trip recently and have
neat.
a couple other family trips coming up soon.
So Mary Wynn, am I remembering horses for you? Animals, period,
Yes,
really, right?
Exactly. Yes. My daughter and I just got to ride again with all this rain and her little pony had an injury. So it was just, I was in heaven this weekend, just being able to get back into horses and enjoy being at the barn and our cats and our crazy dog and whoever else comes around.
Well, we've talked before and you were kind enough to offer and we're going to take you up on it. My wife, Holly, just loves horses. She was around them when she was younger. And she has it. We'd love to come out and visit. So I'm going to come do the horse thing with you. Yes. I'm going to go get in a tree with Josh. This is what's so great about Woodstock. You meet people and do
new connections.
Was there anything in particular that drew you guys to Keller Williams versus like another brand or brokerage?
Yes. Yeah. Great question.
Well, I thought it took me a minute to get it out. I thought it was a fantastic question.
No, it is.
I've been at Keller Williams since I started 7 years ago or so, and the culture and the training there is what really pulled me there and has kept me there since. The culture is amazing. They're very inclusive and accepting of anybody, any type of business that you want to have, whether you want to be doing a few transactions a year or you want to be a mega agent with a huge team. So they can encompass all of that. And also their training is just unmatched. I mean, there's a calendar every single month of amazing training classes, whether it's taught from people at the office or they bring in outside vendors to teach those classes on those specific subjects. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I think the culture is huge. I mean, this Thursday we're having our annual Red Day where every Keller Williams agent in the entire world, and we're in 70 countries, I think now. Wow. Takes the day off and serves in the community to some degree.
Awesome.
So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the stuff. I mean, agents in need in our office with health issues get taken care of. I mean, people, if you need help with anything, you can ask anyone at the office anytime, which is huge for anybody getting into the industry that's new. It's great to have just a support system. And like Brenna mentioned, there's a model and a plan for any type of agent at any level that you want to be. So it's great to be able to go in there and know that you don't have to reinvent the wheel to be successful. You could just go, I want to be like this person and do what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
So before we wrap, I'd like to go around the table and leave our listeners with a pro tip or two in your domain of expertise. So I'm going to start with Mary Wynn. A number one pro tip, gang, if you're thinking at all about redoing anything in your home, just reach out and have a conversation with Mary Wynn. But are there some things that people can begin thinking about, or just some things they can do on their own just to sort of get in that mode of revisiting the way they've got things organized in their home?
Sure. I would say for me personally, if I was giving a tip, that go through your home and really decide, do you love it? Meaning like, okay, if they have bookshelves, go through each item and say, do I love this, or am I just keeping this here to fill space? So if I have something in my home that I don't love, I would rather have empty space so that then my creative brain can go through as I'm walking through Home Goods or wherever and say, that's what I'm picturing for that space. Because in my personal experience and with helping with other clients and even family members walking through their homes with them, it is so much more fun and easier if you get rid of what you don't love. Set it in a pile. Maybe you don't get rid of it yet, but set it in a pile off to the side and then be excited about what it could be and the things that you might want to add to your current decor that you do love. That's my best pro tip for the day.
I think it's a great tip, and I like the idea of having that in your mind, like going through that exercise. Then when you're out playing, no stress, but when you're out and you go to a Home Goods, or like I noticed the other day at Tuesday morning or something is closing down.
Yeah.
Well, now I'll go in there and walk through, but instead of walking in cold, Holly and I will have thought about that kind of that. What a great tip. So if someone out there listening would like to have a more substantive conversation with you, reach out to you, tap into some of your work, whether it be an individual or, I don't know, maybe another realtor team that you could team up with, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
The best way is to give me a call or text me at 606-260-0175. Or you feel free to reach out by email at simplicityhomeinteriors@gmail.com. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram, so it's easy to find us.
I got to go check out the Instagram and the Facebook. We got to get better at the whole social media thing here at Cherokee Business Radio. All right, Josh, you got a pro tip for us, those of us thinking about buying, selling, whatever?
I would just say who you work with matters, whether it's in real estate or your business. But especially in the real estate field, like we had mentioned, we know that there's plenty of business to go around, and we're not just going to force it down your throat. If we don't feel like it's a good fit and you don't feel like it's a good fit, then by all means, go with whoever you're most comfortable with, because it is a huge decision, whether you're buying an investment property, first house, selling. Just make sure you're comfortable with whoever is holding your hand through the process, because they're going to make your life a lot easier.
All right, Brenna, you trained him. That was a great tip.
That was a great
now
tip.
you got to follow that act. What are you thinking?
In relation to that too, the education piece is so important to us. So make sure that the person that you are working with, again, going along with the right person for you, make sure the person you're working with is explaining things to you. Because it's a huge deal. It's a significant amount of money, and it can, make or break a family situation sometimes, having this new place to live. So I would say just being educated on what you're doing, how it's going to propel you into your next goal or stage in life is so important. So the education piece, I think, is what we really weigh heavy on.
Amen. I love it. All right. What's the best way to connect with you guys?
We are all over Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
You can reach us by phone. We love when people call or text us. My number is 404-434-3484. Lots of fours.
And I'm 478-232-0438. Like Brenna mentioned, call, text, email, Burkhalter Realty Group on social media. Check us out. We'd love to, get to know everybody, and thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. It's been awesome.
So glad y'all got to come. I love it.
It has been an absolute delight having you two in the studio. I knew it was going to be fun having Mary Wynn, but Mary Wynn, thank you for making this happen, and thank you all for joining us.
Us.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, until next time, this is Stone Payton for our guest today, and everyone here at the Business Radio X family saying we'll see you again on House to Home Radio.